Dear sisters, brothers, and beloved soulmates, I am Ramakrishna Vadapalli, the owner of this channel, dedicated to promoting a moral and spiritual society worldwide. Our main objective is to share the epic story of the Mahabharata, which serves as a rich collection of spiritual and moral teachings. This includes the Bhagavad Gita, a profound source of enlightenment for all humanity. I kindly ask all viewers to subscribe, like, and share this channel to support our mission. The Mahabharata comprises a total of 589 stories, each contributing to our understanding of life and spirituality. Please subscribe and share and support me for more likewise. Thank you. Yours, Vadapalli Ramakrishna, ancient yoga trainer. Svetaketu's edict. If we trace back 5,000 or 6,000 years, it seems that women once lived with complete sexual freedom. After a woman had relations with a man, the relationship continued only if the man desired it, and not necessarily out of lust. Social constructs such as mother-in-law, son-in-law, or brother-in-law did not exist. In those times, a sage named Udalaka married a woman, and they had a son named Svetaketu. However, his wife continued to follow her free sexual instincts. One day, a man, driven by desire, forcibly took Udalaka's wife, not out of love or mutual will, but merely to satisfy his physical needs. Svetaketu saw this and tried to intervene, but his father stopped him, saying, "My dear son, even a woman who is not as submissive as a cow enjoys the right to sexual pleasure. This is the way of the world, this is her freedom." But Svetaketu could not accept such behavior. He rushed to protect his mother and brought her back. From that moment, he established restrictions on women's free sexual behavior. He reinforced the institution of marriage and laid down religious and moral duties, thus beginning the Vivaha Dharma, or the custom of marriage. Concepts such as adultery, the duties of a husband, and fidelity in marriage all originated from Svetaketu's reforms. The ethical and social norms followed by women today owe their origin to him. Until then, women lived according to their natural instincts. Even today, in the northern regions of Kurubumi, many still live with that same uninhibited freedom. Among animals and birds, of course, such natural behavior continues unrestrained. However, King Pandu clarified that he was not advocating for disobedience to the rules of the land or the times. "You know how I and my brother Dhritarashtra were born," he said. "After our father Vichitravirya's death, Maharshi Vyasa fathered us through our mothers under the sacred law of Niyoga Dharma. Now, I ask you to follow that same sacred custom. You may argue that our mothers submitted to that custom only because our father had passed away, but what am I now? A man cursed, burdened with 2 loyal wives, yet unable to continue my lineage." Kunti could no longer endure Pandu's sorrowful words as he lamented the curse that denied him fatherhood. She ended the conversation for the time being, though his grief weighed heavily on her. Later, in solitude, Kunti sat down and deeply reflected on everything he had said. After much inner turmoil, she reached a decision. One day, finding King Pandu alone, she approached him with a quiet resolve, ready to fulfill his wish and ease his pain. Kunti told King Pandu about the mantra given by Durvasa. Kunti approached King Pandu and said, "Lord, before our marriage, Sage Durvasa once came to the Maharaja temple. He was pleased with the services I offered him and, in return, taught me a powerful mantra. He told me that if I sincerely recited this mantra and invoked any deity of my choice, that deity would appear and bless me with a child. He assured me that the Diparvam, the primeval force of creation, would be manifested through the deity who responded. I was overjoyed when I received it, and I truly believe that such a great Brahmin would never lie. Since you now earnestly desire children, I am willing to repeat that mantra for your sake. However, the choice of which deity to invoke is entirely yours. Whom shall I invite?" Hearing these words, King Pandu was filled with immense happiness. He replied, "My dear, all the worlds are upheld by Dharma. Dharma is the foundation of all virtues, and its embodiment is the God of righteousness. I ask you, then, to invoke that very deity, Dharma himself. May he bless us with a son who is a true reflection of righteousness." Birth of Yudhishthira. Kunti, now a devoted wife longing to bear a child for her husband, recited the sacred mantra given to her by Sage Durvasa and invoked the deity of Dharma. In response, the god of righteousness, Dharma, appeared before her and blessed her by instilling his divine radiance within her. After the appropriate passage of time, on the first day of the bright half of the month of Ashvayuja, Kunti gave birth to a son. As the child was born, divine flowers showered from the heavens in celebration. A heavenly voice proclaimed, "This child will be a great scholar of Dharma, embodying the very essence of righteousness. He will uphold and rule the wheel of law, and his noble fame will sanctify his lineage. As strong as the mountain Meru, he will vanquish his enemies and earn glory throughout the world. He shall be named Yudhishthira." Overwhelmed with joy, King Pandu embraced his destiny. This divine child, born of righteousness and filled with virtue, came to be known as the King of Dharma Yudhishthira, the embodiment of justice and moral strength. The news that Kunti had given birth to a son soon reached Hastinapur, and it deeply saddened Gandhari. Though she had been pregnant for an entire year, she had not yet given birth. Gandhari, who had earlier received a boon from sage Vyasa promising her 100 sons, felt distressed that her younger co-wife, who had entered the household after her, had already borne a child, while she remained childless. In her grief and frustration, Gandhari struck her own womb with both hands. As a result of this act, she delivered a single hard lump of flesh instead of a child. At that very moment, sage Vyasa arrived unexpectedly and consoled her. He said, "You had asked for 100 children, and I blessed you for that. But you have acted in haste, and now this is the result. Still, do not worry, be patient." Vyasa then instructed, "Bring me 100 pots, ordinary vessels will do." Gandhari complied. Vyasa washed the lump of flesh with cold water, and miraculously, it began to divide on its own into 100 separate pieces. Each piece was placed in one of the 100 pots, and lids were sealed over them. Vyasa instructed them to keep the pots soaked in cold water, and with that, he departed. Birth of Bhima. They remained engaged in their duties until they found a way forward. Once that was achieved, life returned to normal, and King Dharma became occupied with his responsibilities. During this time, King Pandu privately called Kunti and said, "My dear, there is an ancient saying, an eye is not an eye, a son is not a son. It means that having just one son does not fulfill our duty. Our royal lineage thrives on strength, and strength itself is embodied by the wind god, Vayu. Therefore, for the sake of our family's future, I request you to bear a very powerful son through the blessings of Analadev, the wind god." Following this request, Kunti, who was committed to her vows, chanted the sacred mantra given by the sage and performed the necessary rituals to invoke the wind god. She worshipped him with proper devotion and procedure. The wind god, Vayu, was pleased and instantly responded. With great joy, the mighty deity deposited his divine energy into Kunti and departed. Kunti then carried this divine child in her womb for a full year. At the auspicious time when both Jupiter and the moon were in the zodiac sign of Leo, during the Maitra Muhurta on the Trayadashi Tithi, and when the sun was positioned at its peak, Kunti gave birth to a son. He was large-bodied, immensely powerful, and had a physique like the thunderbolt, Vajra. As soon as he was born, a divine voice echoed from the heavens, proclaiming, "This child possesses extraordinary strength. He will be one of the mightiest warriors in the world. He shall become great and world-renowned by the name of Bhimasena." Later, the sages residing on the Satashringa mountain gathered and performed the Jataka, birth, rituals for Bhimasena. Birth of Duryodhana. On the very day Bhima was born in the forest, Duryodhana was born in the city of Hastinapura, carrying the lineage of Kali. When this news reached Dhritarashtra, he was overjoyed. Immediately, he called Vidura and said, "My brother has had a son before me. So, he becomes the eldest in the Kaurava clan and, therefore, eligible for the kingdom. However, I see no fault in the case of Yudhishthira. Now that I too have a son, is there a chance that my eldest son might also inherit the kingdom?" Vidura and a few wise warriors stood quietly, exchanging glances, but said nothing. Just then, ominous signs began to appear. Jackals howled in all directions. Donkeys and owls shrieked with disturbing and terrifying cries, terrifying the people. Blood rained from the sky even though there were no clouds. Darkness engulfed the world for a while. Amidst these disturbing omens, a son was born to Dhritarashtra's Vaishya wife. That son, born of a different caste, was Yuyutsu, also known as a Karanika. After Duryodhana's birth, from the divided fragments of Gandhari's lump of flesh, one child was born each day. In this way, 100 sons and one daughter were eventually born from the pieces of flesh that had developed in 100 pots under Vyasa's guidance. These children, born to Gandhari, were known collectively as the Gandharashtras, 100 sons and one daughter, making them 101 in number. Including Yuyutsu, the Karanika son of the Vaishya wife, the total number of children was 102. Among Gandhari's children, the youngest was the daughter. Names of the Kauravas. When Vaishampayana narrated the story, King Janamejaya asked, "Please tell me the names of the Kauravas." Vyasa's disciple continued, "O Mahipala, know that the Gandharvas had 100 brothers and one sister. The eldest among them was Duryodhana, followed by Dusasana as the second. After them, in order, came Dasaha, Dusala, the only sister, Jalasandha, Sama, Sohu, Vindu, Anuvinda, Dudaha, Subahu, Duspradashana, Dimashana, Dimukha, Dashkana, Kana, Vivimsati, Vikana, Salasatva, Sulokana, Chitra, Upachitra, Chitraksha, Charuchitra, Sawasana, Dimada, Duvibaha, Vivitsa, and others. These names represent the principle among the 100 Kaurava brothers born to Gandhari.